he is a physical therapist. I was a patient. We're both familiar with the process of rehabilitation treatment. And we found that there is a really, really big pain in this process and something we can provide value to.
Well, hey, Shai and Yaara, welcome to the show. How are you?
We're good. Hi. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Good morning.
we're happy to have you. So we want to talk about Wize Care and kind of artificial intelligence and technology in healthcare. But before we do that, Shai, why don't we start with you, and then Yaara will move on to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your professional background and what brought you to what you're doing now with Wize Care?
Sure, happy. So I started my way as a software and algorithm developer in the what's called wireless telecommunication military market. Okay, I've been there for a couple of years in development, mainly roles, some of them management, then move forward to product management. And in my background, I had a car accident, so that happened. And so what happened is after a couple of years, I have a very good friend. He's not here on the podcast, but his name is Roy Stern, and he's the CEO of Wize Care. So he is a physical therapist. I was a patient. We're both familiar with the process of rehabilitation treatment. And we found that there is a really, really big pain in this process and something we can provide value to. So we both decided that we want to jump into this pool and, start swimming in the water and provide value to this patient, meaning our main mission was to help patients get better, get to better outcomes, faster recovery, and do that in a kind of, if I may say, fun way. Okay, that was back then.
All right, cool deal. And Yaara, how about you? I think you're on mute, Yaara.
I'm sorry. So I'm an accountant by training, worked more than a decade in Ernst & Young, managed team of advisors to do all kind of M&As and IPOs, basically helping companies to raise money and fund their companies. After 10 years or so, I wanted to see how it's like to really work for a company and not just to give advices. And then I moved to work at a startup called Aviation Aircraft, building all electric aircraft. I've been the chief of staff of the company. After that, I moved to the healthcare industry, working with a company that builds all built robotics, neurosurgical robotics systems. Both of these companies had a long-term vision, products that are about to be in market in the future, needs to have a lot of regulation. And by moving to Wize Care, a company that really does something that helps people now to get a better treatment, a better care, to help the clinicians to take a better care of their patients. This is what I liked about Wize Care and moved to work here 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned how long it takes. It's funny how long, like, quote unquote, startups are. They'll work 10 years before their product sometimes is even allowed to be employed in the marketplace, specifically for healthcare, just because of all the regulations. It's kind of intense. So very high level, why don't you tell us a little bit about what does Wize Care do, and then we'll kind of dive into the nitty gritty about using AI and technology and to streamline the care.
So, Shai, do you want me to take that?
Yeah, please.
Sure. Okay. So, just as an overview, Wize Care is a startup company founded in 2018. It's a digital health provider based on advanced AI technology. The company is at the forefront of using advanced AI and highly accurate movement tracking to provide virtual physical rehabilitation care to patients, thereby improving patients' clinical outcomes and, of course, increasing treatment efficiency and the bottom line for healthcare providers and payers. You probably know that, roughly, that the market is crowded with companies offering simple telehealth solutions targeting healthy individuals with wellness or fitness and prevention programs. But Wize Care is taking on the mission to change the way physical rehabilitation is provided as a medical treatment to clinically infirm populations. That the platform today is being used by leading Israeli and US healthcare providers and health systems. We have more than 100,000 patients and 10,000 clinicians using the system today, worldwide, including physical and occupational therapy treatments. So that's like in an overview about the company. Do you want to talk a bit about the problems and why we're doing that, or just to deep dive into what is the platform and the solution?
Sure. I guess let's talk about, I mean, you laid out a whole lot there. So let's talk about the problem that this solves, right? So you're using the algorithmic learning to and the technology to what drive you're doing visual assessments of the movement patterns and help streamlining care. Like what's the I guess what's the value creation there for practices as they're employing WizeCare in the use of treating their patients?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We know that the physical rehabilitation is critical for improving the long-term clinical outcomes of patients in a wide range of impairment scenarios, such as neurological events, cardiac events, acute and chronic MSK injuries. So these are the populations that we are treating. We know that the physical rehabilitation care today is costly, highly inefficient, has low patient adherence rates, resulting in ineffective treatments. We know that hospitals, outpatient units, healthcare enterprises, and PT clinics are looking for ways to better treat their patients while maintaining cost efficiency and new revenue channels. We also see the rapidly rising costs of labor, the shrinking healthcare personnel workforce. You see high burnout rates in this domain. While in the meantime, the demand for patients continues to rise. The health system and hospitals now seeking for technological solution to increase this productivity and build capacity while retaining the high standard of care. So that's exactly as you said it before. We see that organizations are looking for quality virtual rehab and remote monitoring to complement their inpatient and ambulatory physical occupational plan of care. And these new technologies that they're deploying, they do require some kind of a collaborative and assistance from the organization and a change and modification to the practice and the regulation and activities of these organizations. But this is something that we are at the moment doing with enterprises and organizations, and everyone sees the value for the patients and for the organization themselves.
Yeah. So essentially, if you can either augment what's going on outside of the clinic, augmented at home, or through some kind of digital health means, remote patient monitoring or digital health, so they can adhere to their exercise or adhere to their programs, you're going to get better outcomes over the long term, and maybe even do it in a fewer number of visits, which saves the patient. It frees up some of the capacity for the clinicians, so now they can see more people if they're having to see them less in the clinic. It just seems like a win-win all around, right?
Exactly. So you summarized it very well. That's exactly the benefit of using WizeCare. If you want to talk a bit about the solution itself, so the solution is built on 4 models. We have evaluation, diagnosis, treatment, and management components to this tool, all that build the care cycle, actually. If you want to deep dive a bit into it, Shai will elaborate more about the technology that enables that. But if we talk about the evaluation, so that's true, the evaluation can be done remotely or in clinic just by using the WizeCare patient app. Our patented Move AI technology tracks the patient movement and provides the clinician with values of 5 parameters: range of motion, jerk, tremor, speed, and efficiency. So it's not just to see the patient in a video session and to guess what the condition is. It's actually knowing evidence-based tool to know exactly the patient's status. The accuracy rate of our tool is 99.7%, so it really provides the clinical insights.
Yeah, and what you're doing there is you're not just getting a range of motion measurement, but by the jerking, and you're essentially gauging the quality of the movement too, right? Like it doesn't matter if the person can reach overhead if they're going to fall over doing it, right?
Absolutely. It's not just a threshold if you reached a certain point or not. It's really the path that you did the movement, and if you try to avoid any pain or it wasn't efficient enough. So the clinician now it's not just like a Zoom meet as we are doing now. The clinician not just can not only see the patient, but to understand exactly what the parameters of the movement are. So, and that was just the evaluation tool. After that, the AI-powered decision support system will provide diagnosis and suggest a care protocol. The care protocol is comprised of synchronic and asynchronic treatment. The asynchronic treatment is basically, as you said before, the home exercise program. The clinician choose a protocol as he can choose a protocol by himself from a library of more than 800 exercises, or to take what the platform suggested. And then the patient can do the exercises at home by themselves and get a real-time feedback and corrective feedback on how they did and scoring on the exercises, while the clinician can see everything they did while they are not with a clinician. So that's the asynchronic part. The clinician just need to choose the duration, the exercises and the duration, and that's set. The patient gets reminders. It can be done from any mobile device, iOS, Android, even the web if the patient doesn't want to download. We have patients from ages of 20 to 95.
90,
So everyone can use it. We actually was surprised to see that the most adherent population is 75 years old and above. So
because they're going to listen to what their clinician tells them. They just have never had getting the feedback in real time as they're doing it. So they get handed a paper or something like that at their PT clinic. They're like, I don't know what I'm going to do here, but they want to adhere.
Exactly, but there was a concern that the age will interrupt with the way that they're using the platform to engage with an app, to download it, to have a username and password, and how to use all the functions of this platform. And we see that that's a non-issue at all. So we talked about the asynchronic part of the care plan, and the synchronic, of course, includes the treatments that are being done as a video session with all the clinical value in it. Each customer can choose if they want to use it as a completely virtual, meaning the patient is not coming in clinic at all, or they can use it as a hybrid model, which means some of the exercises and the sessions are being done in clinic and some of them at home. Even if the patient is coming in clinic, still the clinician will use the WizeCare app in clinic with a tablet or a desktop to let the patient exercise and to get the evaluations that we have in the system.
Yeah, because there's the evaluative component, I'm assuming, in the technology that maybe you can do when the individual is at home doing a remote evaluation. Those that capability can be transferred over into the clinic, where maybe the patient is doing the exercise in the clinic and WizeCare is still evaluating the quality of the movement pattern and giving real-time feedback to the clinician and the patient, correct?
Correct. And sorry, Shai.
No. We all the time, we mix assessments and exercising at the same time.
Yes.
So we basically use every exercise session to reevaluate, to reassess, and maybe generate the analytics and send them to the clinician in order to adjust the program, even without the need to meet, even if that's physically or remotely, like we just do. So we make everything very efficient.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And as you know, Rafi, that in a clinic, at a specific moment in a clinic, you'll have 2 or 3 patients at a time with one clinician. So while the clinician can let one patient to do the exercise in front of the WizeCare app and get the feedback and everything, the other patients can get the attention of the clinician. So this is why the utilization of the clinician is the highest.
Yeah, well, and it solves the problem, right, of these big organizations. They're built on, their business model is based off of volume or something like that, and what ends up happening is that you get 2 or 3 patients per clinician, and they're all doing kind of these independent exercises, but it doesn't feel valuable to the patient because they're just doing the same exercises as everybody else. But it's something like this, a tool like this, is able to kind of provide feedback, to tailor the exercise a little bit more, leaves the patient, I would assume, with a better experience than going into one of these PT clinics where they're still being seen by 2 or 3 at a time, but they're just kind of independently doing their exercises on their own and hoping they're doing it correctly, right?
Exactly.
So basically, like you're getting a personal virtual therapist 24/7 and available for you anytime, any place. Just do your exercises, and the virtual therapist will accompany you, fix you, guide you how to improve, send you the outcomes, and basically create the engagement and the motivation to continue to the next exercise, next workout. This is how we built the whole journey of the patient. They're starting with assessment, clinician and patient, where during the video call, we also integrate our AI in order to make the assessment an assessment, not just the video call for consultation. We actually assess patient through, while they're doing their video calls online without the need to meet. Okay, that's a huge breakthrough, and this is a new tool we're working on these days. And then they continue their journey with their exercises, providing analytics to the clinician in order to, like they say on the military market, command and control. Okay, we basically want to make our clinician case managers. We want to put them in a place where they navigate treatment and don't need to hustle and do all the work that AI can do. So we want to make the Move AI, this is our technology, the assistant of the human clinician.
Yeah, almost like a force multiplier, right? And then leave the clinician to do that high value, really the high level care of, okay, we're going to work you through this treatment program, as opposed to being the one in there every day adjusting the exercises and doing kind of the lower value
we
stuff.
Don't we don't want clinician to tell the patient you're doing good or bad or what you need to improve. AI can do that. Okay, they have much better things to do with their time, which is limited. There is a gap between demand and supply of the clinician. There is much more demand that doesn't get any a solution for the need, and AI can fill this gap.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, so one of the things I noticed on your website is you mentioned being able to reduce the amount of treatment required by up to 20%. So I'm assuming you've got all the data that you arrived at that, like you've 10,000 patients and all the clinicians and all that, you're able to track all that. So how does that impact practices on an operational level? Like, I'm assuming something like that opens up the door for like value-based arrangement discussions or increasing capacity. What are some of the benefits you've noticed by being able to reduce the amount of treatment required for each patient?
So I think that the main point, Rafi, it's not the reduction of the number of treatments, the sessions, it's how much more effective the treatment is.
Okay.
So if a patient is still coming 8 times to the clinic, they will get better, much better than how they will leave the clinic after 8 sessions without the WizeCare tool. And that's true that when we have the bundle programs and the value-based care programs where a patient is post-operative and needs to get better in 90 days and in order to prevent resurgeries or rehospitalizations, we see the great value in this program with our system. So the clinician gives the patient an enormous amount of asynchronic treatments, and combined with the sessions, the in-clinic sessions that the patient is required to do as well. And therefore, you see that after a certain period of time, the patient will get 20% better than without WizeCare. You can see that we did some clinical studies, both with Cleveland Clinic, and you can see that published on our website. One of our clinical studies was published on the International Journal of Rehabilitation Research, and everything can be found over the website.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool deal. So tell me a little bit about this is just my own curiosity now. Like something like this, I would assume when you're in the developing process, like all these AI components and machines, these algorithmic learnings need to be trained on some data, right? So it sounds like now you've got 10,000 patients that are what was it, 100,000 patients and 10,000 clinicians or something like that. So large amounts of data. From a standpoint of what you're doing now, like, are you using all of that data that's coming in to help make the technology better in future iterations? And then I guess that's the question. Like, how are you using the data now? And is it going to be used to help improve this? Like, is WizeCare going to be 10 times better in a couple of years because it's taking all this data and learning from it?
For sure. So what's special in WizeCare that, today AI is very trendy. Yeah. Everybody's doing AI. even if they do AI or even they don't do AI. Okay, it's a
Yeah,
kind of
people want to
word
talk
that
about
everybody
AI.
uses. Exactly. But down to earth, when you're dealing with patient healthcare, you have to be serious when you're using the word. Okay,
Yeah.
it has to be very professional, very accurate. We have been able to register our proprietary algorithm as a patent in all the world, which is something that we're very proud of us. So we combine different algorithm approaches. Part of them are machine learning, deep learning. Part of them are even classified as signal processing and other algorithm approaches. We do hybrid implementation of these all to get outcomes. Okay, so the AI is a big word, but it can be like divided to several features of the
Yeah.
technology. Okay, at the first stage, if you want to talk about movement analysis, you have to track the movements. Okay, that's the first algorithm, which is based on machine learning. Okay, that's how we basically convert a video stream into a body measurement key points that we can track frame by frame. Okay, that's the first step to go. Second one is how we analyze the movements. Okay, now we have a different classification of the body, and now we can analyze the movement. We can also compare a movement to a required or expected movement. There's a lot of algorithms here in between that we are talking about, and this is a way at the end to score a movement. Okay, then you can analyze the exercise and everything. So this is one way to do exercising, monitoring, scoring in the AI approach. Another way that we found that is very required and has to be part of the user journey, which is our goal, okay? It's how to assess a patient. It's not about exercising. It's about what Yaara mentioned at the first of our call, is how to characteristics the movement in a physical therapy terminology. So providing the clinician what it's needed in order to understand how well the patient is, what is the condition, basically what is point A and what is the point B that I want to lead my patient through the personalized tailor-made program that I'm going to prescribe to this patient.
Yeah, that is so huge. So many of these applications, they just give the clinicians like a list of numbers or variables or degrees. And unless you're really digging into the data, it's like, okay, yeah, there's like a 5% variation between your right and your left. But what does that mean for the clinician? Like, what do I have to work on, right?
Definitely. I think, and that's something we learn through our experience. Clinicians are very, I can say, extremely busy people.
Yeah.
They don't have time to explore data and all these features and everything. They need their data very, very focused and pointed to what they need so they can make decision. Okay, we enable them to be a decision makers, which is best for the patients. Okay, that's our goal. So we talked about exercising, we talked about patient tracking, we talked about assessments. There's another way to leverage our AI and data in a different way, okay? We get all the data. How can we like optimize exercise selections or workout selections to a given case? Maybe we can do that in an autonomous way, okay? Maybe we can recommend clinician what is the best program for patient A in case Z, so they can go from point A to B in the fast way and get to the best recovery. This is like mostly done by data analysis, which is also like a very trendy today with all the machine learning approaches. And where we gain data, we can improve our recommendation for every new patient coming into a system, okay? We gain more data, we improve our algorithm and our accuracy and our decision support system that basically recommends for workouts for different cases, okay? That's another way. And even these days, we are starting to point out to new approach and a new era of AI where we can become a predictive analysis of diseases and physical conditions that we can track.
Like that. Yeah.
Exactly. We can track in advance and basically help our clinician navigate our patients to a preventive care in order to avoid getting to more severe conditions and getting them to safe zones. So there's, if I'm clear, okay, there's lots of ways to use AI in the rehab place.
Yeah, but I think, like you mentioned, the key is one, keeping it focused for the clinician for it to be actionable data, right? And then for it to be accurate.
Exactly. Don't hustle them with too much data. They're gonna lose interest.
And Rafi, as we said, we spoke before about the regulation. So today we are decision support system. If you want to have completely autonomous system that the patient can get evaluation and the care plan should be set by the platform, we do need an FDA approval, and this is something that we are working on. So we do believe that in the future there will be some cases, the non-complex cases, that maybe the chronic patients and cases that can get use of the system, can get hold of the system just by having a clinician assigning a specific care plan, and then the patient can do everything by themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the future to come.
Because again, you're moving away from that lower level care and making the clinician more of the case manager, kind of guiding the patient through a recovery journey almost, instead of being the one in and out doing all the little stuff, right?
Exactly. And we already know that payers are waiting to have this kind of feature and then to give a patient a first line of treatment. Even before connecting them with a provider, with a healthcare provider, the payer will give their policyholders the ability to try and get better even before the first session with the clinician. So that's something that the industry is looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, you could almost see it like these areas or these clinics that have, wait lists. You could say, oh, well, here's the app, go on, do the assessment. It's going to give you some exercises. I know your appointment's in like 30 days. And between now and then, we'll be checking in online with you. And then that way, by the time you get to the clinic, maybe you've had some improvement. And if not, we can kind of game plan what's going on there. But at least it gives the patient almost like a head start, right, into the rehab process.
So I like it, Rafi, that we are saying something in general and then you put an example on it. So that's exactly the case.
Well, tell me a little bit about, kind of here near the end, as we're wrapping up, tell me a little bit about the challenges that you've seen integrating something like this into an actual clinical practice. Like, have you found things that work, or like, oh, these are common speed bumps that we want to get over? Because I think when you talk about AI and algorithms and technology, you either get clinicians that are like way on board, they see it as something that's going to be a force multiplier for them and they're excited. And then I would think the vast majority of clinicians, just in my experience, like they just don't like change at all. So like, what have you found being like maybe some of the challenges or objections that clinicians have when you're talking about WizeCare? And then what has been successful in getting them to implement it and use it? Is it a matter of them just seeing the outcomes and being like, oh, this is worth it? Or is there something more, I don't know, outlined for them to kind of walk them through, okay, I'm not sure about AI or using this tech in practice, to, oh, this is actually something that's really valuable?
Mm-hmm. So I think that today, I don't know any organization that doesn't use any digital tools with their patients, even if it's just Zoom sessions and then sharing YouTube exercises. So every organization today uses digital health tools. And I think that what helps for the rapid deployment is our ability to integrate with the EMR, and then the clinician doesn't need to insert all the data twice. And the fact that it is really intuitive and the UX UI is simple and the patient likes it. So we don't see any hurdles from the clinicians today. I don't think that they don't care about, they're not afraid about the fact that the system, the platform will replace them one day, because the demand is really so high and the complexity of cases will not change. But they do find it hard if they need to use two different systems. We do different inputs of data. So if it's integrated and easy for them to use, I think that this is the most important for the organizations that we are working with. The organizations today, we are working with Mayo Clinic, for example. So we do need to have a champion inside the organization, someone from the IT department to help with putting it all together. This is something that give a bit of a hard time for small clinics. But for enterprises, this is something that they're doing. It takes time, but when completed, they see the benefits and it's working. Shai, do you see any other hurdles of
I
using
think
a system like this?
if you wanna let's talk about the implementation itself. So basically, uh, first I'll say even before that you have to know your customer or target market very well. Okay, and in the rehab, even every patient needs the same system. The framework, okay, the place they go, the type of the clinic matters. Okay, if that's
Yeah.
like SMBs, like small clinics, they have certain requirements. If you talk about enterprises, healthcare system, hospitals, they're a bit different. Okay, so we chose our target market, and this is more the organization and the big players in the market, because we think our value proposition is much higher and require this type of customer in order to enjoy what we deliver. Okay, that's first thing. And that was a crucial decision we make in order to focus. We are still a startup. Okay, we have lots of users and we have high prestige customers, but we are still a startup. So we have to focus on energy and focus very well. And I think we're doing very well on that approach. If we want to talk about the implementation itself, so the way we work is first we onboard the clinic, and the first guys that comes into the digital clinic is the clinician, and the clinician, they add their patient to the system. So that's the way that's the journey of clinician and patient in our platform. And if we can't get the engagement of the clinician, we won't get any patient to the system. We all understand we're all here to provide therapy to the patients, but there's a cycle we have to cross. So clinicians want to be professional. They have to get the right business model, okay? And it has to be efficient. It has to be easy. It can even be fun, okay?
Yeah.
I allow myself to use this word. And we learned through the years that we have to fulfill all this triangle in order to get the engagement of the clinician. So clinicians understand, they become a better healthcare provider using WizeCare, okay? We made the application seamless, self-explained, easy to use, okay? It took some time. It's not from day one. It took some time. But when you get there, you learn that the cycle goes smoothly and the engagement go higher and you get more and more clinician and everything works just fine. So we get the engagement, and from that point, they allow themselves freely to add more patients and control their patient journey on their own without the need for any support, for any special hands here, and everything works just fine. They become better. If that's a private clinic, the business model works. If I'm working in the enterprise, I'm connected to insurance. There's some special billings that allow me to replace digital or manual, not a real manual therapy. We can replace that, but face-to-face in-clinic appointments with digital assessments or digital workouts when they do at home. So the whole wheel runs faster.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool deal. Well, we're here at the end here. If there's anything you would want someone to know about just implementing tech in healthcare, or even what WizeCare can do, what would that be?
I would say, and maybe that's a tip for competitors, okay? But allow myself to say that when you face enterprises, there's a lot of IT requirements coming from this organization, okay? These kind of things, they nearly you cannot see them in a small business clinics, but when you face enterprises, that's part of the sales cycle. It's part of the implementation. What we found to work very well is start with a SaaS pilot, okay, like a standalone application where you focus on your users and you provide the value to the clinician, to the rehabilitation managers, and of course to the patient. Okay, that's first step. But when you find this triangle work, then at a second step, you can go start talking about integration, EMR, improving its cycles to fit your customer. So you can optimize the whole cycle and the journey of the patient to make it smoother, and faster. Okay, it works fair.
Yeah, that's a pretty good process. Try it out, show some value, and then once that happens, then you kind of take over. Well,
where all the setup is much more clearer what
yeah,
the customer wants. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Well, Shai, Yaara, thanks so much for being on the show. If people want to learn more about you all or connect with you or learn more about Wize Care, where can they do all of that?
So of course you can log into our website. You can send us messages through the website or LinkedIn or any other social media channel that we are on, and we'll be happy to get back to you.
Awesome.
It's
and we'll link to all of that
WizeCare.com.
in the show notes. Yeah, WizeCare.com. Okay.
.com,
We'll put that in the show notes. So guys, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rafi.